Bravo, gentlemen. Beautiful playing. Just so you know, Joe, there really isn't any issue with balance. And sometimes I feel like in this hall, you can be a little bit more incisive and clear about certain things. And maybe you do that because you feel you need to be concerned. I always hear them. So I think we'll see. Maybe, obviously, you still have to achieve the balance. The basic thing, we already went through the piece, and so we talked about a lot of things. But the thing that actually I notice is just what pertains to what that sounds like in the hall, in this hall. I lose a lot of the notes after you make an impulse. You know what I mean? It sounds like you're dropping them even though I know you don't mean to. You know. And it's a fairly prevalent thing throughout. You'd be surprised. It's the kind of thing that maybe we think since we hear them, they're heard, but that's the old, let's say, I don't know. I don't think it's an acoustic reality, though that's an element of it. But after notes that are stressed, after accents, after forte piano, so we need to think about the next thing. Whereas we often think about that, and then we think a little less about the next thing. Some of that is acoustic, but it's not only acoustic, it's also the intention, Also, one other thing I'd like to say, James, you always, produce a very expressive sound. Please do be careful then when you get into the lower register that it's not always this, there are times when a more focused sound would be appropriate. I know you can, and you're looking for that sort of slightly, husky, burnished sound, but, I think sometimes we just miss the clarity in the sound. Let's go from the beginning. Even there, we talked about the opening. That the third note, the E, should be present enough so we understand the whole figure. It's actually not specifically a rest, is it? It sounds actually like a rest. I mean, those are the kinds of things that can easily happen simply if we don't pay attention, because the listener actually perceives it that way. Whereas in fact, it's a long sustained phrase. That means just keeping the presence of sound and continuing. I think you probably wouldn't do that if you played it on the G string. I'm not suggesting you do. But if you did play it on the G string, you wouldn't automatically drop the E. Let's start from the beginning again. Okay, great. Now let's put it back on the D string. Yes, I think these accents are important, but I don't think they actually verticalize, I don't know if that's a word, but the line. They're still in movement forward. You know something? I don't mind that G string sound. I don't do it because I have a big wolf on the F on my cello, but you don't have that, do you? I didn't hear it. Actually, it's not bad. It's not bad. The sound works. But the D string is another version. It's another kind of character. I think both can work, but neither one should, in fact, whether it has a string crossing or a shift, shouldn't break the line, of course. Anyway, now you're thinking about it, so we're good. Let's start at the beginning and go on past where the accents are. back. Where is that? Yeah. And remember the discussion about your feet? Keeping them on the ground. Feel the heels on the floor.
From there or the beginning?
The beginning is fine. Joe, by the way, if I could just say, I'm not trying to sell you a bill of goods here, but if I didn't hear the difference, I wouldn't pester you about it. But since I do hear the difference, you can count on my pestering you about it. Okay? Please remember that. It makes a big difference. There's just more substance in everything you do. Joe, when you play this, I think the shape is right, but it sounds a little bit, it's not probably intentional, but it sounds like you're throwing away the end. I think there needs to be enough left in it to go on, you know. Let's just do the end of the cello into that ti-da-da-da-da. Yes. And it's the same thing. We talked about that the other day. You're going to the D string. There's going to be a natural perception of a diminuendo, though we don't mean it. T-tom. Yes. Yes. Let's do it from when you have that. Okay? You know, I notice that you're kind of stiffening everything in your hand to do that. But if you would actually not do that and get more into the string, not lose the attack, but allow some feeling of cushion and depth in the stroke. Let's see what that sounds like without Joe. Yeah, it's got more body. Okay, let's do that with Joe. No, just a bomb, bomb, bomb. I think at that point in the music, I don't think you should keep stopping to start. You know, it wants to go, you know? Let's do from the T. Yeah, so the other way of saying it is think through the rest. Let's start at the cello A. Da, la, da, da, da. James, I know that you have fire, but you also like to keep control. Can you get a little closer to the edge than that? Cool. In other words, border, it doesn't become hysterical, and it shouldn't be. But this expression is extreme. You know, it is. It's agitated. It's almost furious. You know, I'm not saying it should sound hysterical. I'm not saying that. But I don't think this is a controlled place. All of this tension that has been built up to this point was for this to be the release. And then comes this angelic phrase. Okay? Let's do the same. do that once more, but keep your heels on the ground. Yeah, I know, demanding guy, right? Yeah, I think this is more soulful. You know, that's more meaningful. That's from the A, the low A. I'm not sure there's any particular reason to drop the A. It's a long line still, okay? Joe, it's nice. I don't know if it's heavenly, though. Can you play that, reach higher than that? Sound-wise, it's something with the voicing. It sounds dark. I'm not sure it should be dark. And that sounds, if I, don't take it badly, but that sounds very complicated to me. You know, I think this is simple. We're in heaven. Presumably everything up there is simpler than it's been down here. And each one is an impulse. Yeah, and ta 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 ti 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 ti. I think we should try to play that as simply as possible, you know, and not to look for anything complicated. Do you know what I mean? It's sort of like you're playing. I mean, this is just very simple. You know, it could be played that way, and it's nice. I miss that. It's a little predictable in its movement. Somebody told me once long ago, we shouldn't be trying to bring out the things that are obvious, but bring out the things that are less obvious that we don't hear. I thought that was actually a very helpful phrase. What's obvious is da, ta, da, 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 da. Everybody hears that. What else could it be? Do you know what I mean? Let's do from there. Nice. Okay, nice, beautiful, James. Thought. The last note, third finger. 2 fingers down, thumb flying in the air. Are you sure? I know you do it, but the sound gets a little bit unfocused, okay? What if you leave your thumb lightly on the string, in place, don't press it, and don't have your second finger down? Could you just play the last note? You know, we can have a long discussion, and let's not, about the flying thumb. Or as my teacher, Mr. Stark, would say, don't hitchhike. But the fact is, we do lose a certain amount of control over that motion. Now, some people feel, yes, but I gain an expressivity and all that. You have plenty of expressivity in your vibrato, but you actually lost the ability to focus that sound. And for me, what you just did doesn't sound the least bit thin or anything. It just sounds beautiful, okay? So for me, that's preferable, and you really didn't lose anything, okay? Let's go on to the next phrase. Not to lose the last notes, right? This is not simple to play because it can sound like la da 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 da, which we don't want. Maybe you can feature other aspects of the figure. It doesn't always have to be da 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 da, you know, and it doesn't have to be that regular. You know, as we discussed yesterday, I guess, it's the kind of thing that on the piano wouldn't sound that clear. You know what I mean? So I think when we play those things, we shouldn't attempt to play it that clearly, because I think this is a figure that probably somewhere in Grieg's mind could have been in the left hand of the piano, you know? So bring out the harmonic changes, that kind of thing, but not to achieve a regular rhythm. Let's do that. You know what I mean? Also, probably higher than rather low in the bow. You have more mobility of the motion. You can do more with change of pressure and speed. Yeah, but that means you need to keep contact. Yeah, don't you think it's part of the strepitoso? I don't see, he doesn't write ritardando on that. Ah, you don't have a strepitoso. It's in the piano part. So I would think this is part of it, okay? I think we need to sort of wrap things up soon. So let's skip to the coda, okay? I have to admit, just how I took it, I wasn't completely convinced of the tempo in the presto, the very last one. You know, it needs to go, but it also needs to come from where it was. It just seemed like it, da 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 da. You know, so it lost some. The very, very last. Is it prestissimo? Oh, okay. Let's go back to the presto then. In other words, it's a step, and it's a release, but it still relates to what we heard before. It needs power. And not drop the tight over E. I'm not sure that the middle notes. I'm not sure that the middle notes make that much difference, but I think we need the bottom and the top. That gives the pulse. That gives the scope of the chord. We don't need all of that, but can you back up right before the That's good. I think you can do something with the last bar, but the slowing down business sounds a bit Brahmsian in its idea. You know, I think there's all this momentum. We talked about that the other day. You know, let's do this at the end. Ding dong dong.